What's up guys, welcome back. I hope you're in the mood for comfort food because today I'm showing you my recipe for smothered pork chops. But before I do that, please take a quick second to subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit that bell to enable notifications as well. Alright, enough running my mouth, it's time to make some pork chops. We're gonna start with some nice, beautiful bone-in pork chops that I'm gonna season up with some salt on both sides right before we dip it into a nice buttermilk brine. Buttermilk has some acidity to it. It's gonna help tenderize those pork chops and add a lot of flavor. So we're going in with 1 quart of buttermilk into our large mixing bowl. This step is optional, but it does tenderize the meat and add a lot of flavor, so do what you please. Going in with a little Sazon and some Cajun seasoning. Use whatever you like. A little garlic powder as well. Some onion powder. As always guys, all the specific measurements and ingredients are in the description below. Of course, some hot sauce. I'm using Frank's Red Hot today. Put that shit on everything. And some Liam Perrins. A few dashes of that. Break out that whisk and mix to combine all those delicious ingredients, and you have yourself a wonderful buttermilk brine that's gonna add tons of flavor to your pork chops. Also a little cayenne pepper just to increase the spice factor a little bit. Use as much as you like depending on your heat preference. Adding a few bay leaves and some thyme as well. And now it's time to give your pork chops a nice buttermilk bath. You can cover these for 1 to 4 hours or overnight if you got some time on your hands. It's important to get in there with your hands and work in that marinade into your meat. There we go. Moving on to our seasoned flour. Got about 3 cups of flour in here with some salt, a little onion powder, followed by some garlic powder, a little bit of Cajun seasoning. Use whatever one is your favorite. 1 packet of Sazon. And then we'll get in there with our fork and mix all of those ingredients into our flour. You want to layer flavor throughout your dish, so we're marinating the pork chops. We're going to season the flour as well. You want to save a few tablespoons of that flour to make your gravy later. Next, we're going to go and grab our pork chops out of that buttermilk brine, strain off any excess buttermilk, and then dredge them right into that flour. Using your hands to really work in that flour, make sure that they're well coated on both sides. There we go. We want a nice crispy end product that's very juicy and delicious. Lay them on a plate for about 10 to 15 minutes to really let that flour adhere to the meat prior to frying. You want the flour to stay on the meat and not burning up at the bottom of your frying pan. Speaking of the frying pan, we got our grease up to 350 degrees. I think. There we go. And then just lay your pork chops in one at a time. Please don't overcrowd your skillet. Right now, we're just looking for a really nice golden brown color. We're only gonna cook these pork chops about halfway through because we're also gonna smother them in that gravy and allow them to finish cooking at that point. So once they've reached a nice golden brown color, go ahead and flip them, cook them for another 5 to 6 minutes. And once they've achieved the color that you're looking for, go ahead and remove them to a wire rack and let them drain off just a bit. And then it'll be time to get started on our gravy. Those are looking good. All right, for our gravy, we're going in with 2 to 3 tablespoons of good quality butter. I recommend Kerrygold grass-fed butter. It's delicious and it's a little bit healthier for you than some of the alternatives. We're gonna add in some thyme as well to infuse some flavor, and then some sliced onion. Being careful to make sure they're not all sticking together. Break out your spatula and just work everything in. Sweat those onions down a little bit. Some beautiful fond is developing at the bottom of the pan. We'll get that up later. Go ahead and remove that thyme. It's done its job at this point. Going in with a tablespoon or so of garlic paste. You can use minced garlic here if you want. Once those onions are cooked down and nice and translucent, we're going in with about a teaspoon or so of chicken base. That's gonna kick up the flavor even more. If you don't have that, feel free to just season it up with a little salt and pepper. Then we're going in with that seasoned flour that we saved from earlier, 2 to 3 tablespoons of that, depending on how thick you want your gravy. Work that in until it forms a bit of a paste, and then we're going in with our chicken stock. And at this point is when we're gonna get up the fond off the bottom of that skillet. As always, guys, a reminder that the instructions and ingredients to this recipe are in the description below. Bring it up to a boil and then reduce to a simmer. Your gravy will get nice and dark and thick at this point. And we'll add in about a tablespoon or 2 of heavy cream. You definitely want to taste as you go and adjust the flavor as needed. If it's a little bit too salty, you can add in a little bit more chicken stock or cream. If it's not salty enough, feel free to season it up a little bit more. Once you've got your gravy right where you want it, go ahead and add in those pork chops again. Add back in that thyme to allow it to infuse a little bit more flavor. Just bring this up to a simmer and allow it to cook until those pork chops are cooked through to your desired doneness. I recommend between 150 to 165 degrees internal temperature. Should take another 5 to 7 minutes or so in that gravy. And then we're gonna plate these bad boys up along with some collard greens and dirty rice. Both of those recipes will be dropping next week. Don't forget to slather on the onions and then smother them until your heart is content with that delicious gravy that we made. Damn, that looks good. Little parsley for color and so you guys can pick on me in the comments. Trademark money shot for you guys, and there you have it. That is my recipe for smothered pork chops. Give me a thumbs up on this video if you liked it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, enable notifications so you don't miss any recipes, and as always, thank you for your support.